yes po. One check po yun. So, please approve po. Okay. Yung, ikaw naman, ano naman ang
Alright.
makalimutan, Amir? Amir, ano naman pala ni Gadang yung makalimutan?
Right. So our lesson for today is about square roots. Okay po. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes po.
Okay. So background information for learners. So it is an utmost importance that every grade 7 learners must develop thorough understanding on the set of real numbers. This is where the study of succeeding materials lesson, mathematics lessons rather, lie. This material will help you learners to describe the roots of both rational and irrational numbers. Again, what is rational and what is irrational? All of this can be reviewed again for this topic. Learning competencies describes principal roots and tells whether they are rational or irrational. Then the second one determines between what two integers the square root of a number is. Learning activities, number one, finding the square root of a perfect square number and describing the principal roots, whether rational or irrational. Number six, simplifying the square root of non-perfect square number and determining two integers between which the given square root lies. Look at the watch. We will consider it as our wall clock. Okay. Can you say about the watch or the clock? What can you say about the watch? Yes, go ahead.
Naka-square root po.
Okay, so the clock or the numbers, no? Or the hours. Okay, so indicated square root po, no? Not whole numbers. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No? Hindi po ganon. So we have square root of 144, square root of 1, square root of 4, square root of 9, and so on. So, yun po yung mga numbers niya. Next question is, can you tell the indicated time? In our watch or wall clock, what time is it?
2:33 po.
2:33? No.
O na po.
Look at the hour hand, yung short hand. The short hand,
O na po.
naka-point po dun sa square root of 100. Tama? Yes o na?
100 square root by 4.
No, square root of 100 po. Yan ang basa dyan. Square root of 100. Then the long hand pointing at square root of 4. Okay? So we have square root of 100 is 10. In an ordinary watch, what does it mean by square root of 100?
Ten po.
It's 10.
10.
10. So when we say square root of 100, that is 10. Why? Because if we are going to multiply that 10 by itself, 10 times 10, that is 100. Therefore, the square root of 100 is 10. So, 10 po ang oras ngayon. Parang ganon. Naintindihan?
Opo.
Yes. How about this one? Square root of 4.
2 po.
2.
2 po.
Okay, ano na ngayon ang oras natin kung 10 po, no? The shorthand pointing at square root of 100, which is 10 o'clock already. Then the long hand, no, nakapoint doon sa square root of 4 and that is 2. Now, what is the exact time now? Can you tell?
10:02 po.
10,
10:02.
10 and 10, 10.
10:10.
10, 10 po. Okay? So without considering the long hand, only the short hand, and that is exactly 10. If the long hand pointing at square root of 144, and that is exactly 10 o'clock. If the square root of 100 is 10 and the square root of 4 is 2, then the time in the wall clock is 10, 10. And this is typographical error. I did not edit, no? So it should be 10, 10. Correct?
Yes po.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes po.
let us continue. If the hour hand is pointing at the square root of 64, can you give the indicated time? We are talking about the short hand of the clock. If the hour hand is pointing at the square root of 64, can you give the indicated time? It's
Ona
8.
po. 8
Oh, na.
po.
8.
8
So that is correct.
po.
8. Now, what if the hour hand is at square root of 50? Can you give the exact time? Why or why not? Where do you find this square root of 50? Where do we find? Nakikita ba ito sa wall clock natin?
Hindi po.
Hindi.
No. Hindi
Okay?
po.
So, saan natin i-insert yan kung sakasakali? Between what two perfect square numbers? Why? Because these numbers, square root of 144, square root of 1, square root of 4, square root of 9, square root of 16, hanggang square root of 121 are perfect square numbers. Saan natin i-insert ang square root of 50? Between what two perfect square numbers?
Square root of
25 po.
49 between square root of
Between
64.
square root of 64 and square root of 49.
49.
Yes. Now, let us continue. In this illustration, we have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144 are all considered perfect square numbers. Also, rational numbers like 0.25, 1 over 100, 1.69 are also perfect square numbers. Okay? So, tatandaan po yung sinabi ko sa inyo, yung square root of 1. Yan. So, we have here 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. Hanggang 144. Now, what is a square root of a number? When we say square root of a number is a number that, when multiplied by itself, equals the desired value. So, for instance, the square root of 25 is 5 because if you're going to multiply this 5 by itself, 5 times 5, it gives you 25 as a product. Naintindihan?
Yes.
Yes. So
Opo.
therefore, the square root of 25 is 5. Okay? Now, how about these perfect square numbers? So when we say perfect square numbers are numbers that can be expressed as a product of two equal numbers, just like this, 3 times 3. So we will consider this 3 and the other 3, no, are what? Factors of 9. So pwede natin sabihin equal factors po yan ng 9. We have 3 times 3 is 9. Hence, the square root of 9 is 3. Number 2, 1 over 10 times 1 over 10 is equal to 1 over 100. Therefore, the square root of 1 over 100 is equal to 1 over 10. Now, remember we have here given square root of 9 is 3. The 9 is what we call the radicand. Yung number po na nasa loob ng radical symbol, ang tawag natin doon ay radicand. While the symbol is, we call it radical sign. No? Can be radical symbol. Can be square root symbol. Okay? So any of the three will do. Radical sign, radical symbol, square root symbol. And how about the answer? We call it root. We call it root or principal root of 9. And this 3 is what we call equal factor of the radicand 9. Bakit po equal factor? No? So 3 times 3 is 9 kasi. Okay? Naintindihan? So tinawag natin equal factor. 3 times 3, 9. So let us continue. All of the examples, no, above or the last, no, about the last slide results to a rational root. Lahat nung yung 3, 1.3 and 1 over 10 are all rational numbers and are also considered the principal root or principal square root of the given numbers. Tandaan niyo yung sinabi ko sa inyo, when we say principal square root, no? Ito po yung 3, 1.3, 1 over 10. Sila po yung tinatawag na principal square root of the given numbers. Now, what was the given number from 3 as a principal root? What was
9
the given?
po.
9. So, we have the
9.
square root of 9, or what is the principal root of 9? It's 3. How about this one, 1.3? What was the given perfect square?
3 po.
1.3?
1.69 po.
1.69.
1.16.
The principal root of 1.69 is 1.3. The principal root of 1 over 100 is 1 over 10. Okay? So when we say principal square root is what we call positive roots. Positive po sila. Naintindihan? Positive 3, positive 1.3, positive 1 over 10. Naintindihan?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Also, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Negative 1.3 times 1 and negative 1.3 is also 1.69 positive. Negative 1 over 10 times negative 1 over 10 is 1 over 100. Therefore, the square root of 9 is 3. This principal root of 9 is 3. Then, isasama po natin yung negative 3. Tama? So, dalawa na po ang ating sagot. We have the positive root and the negative root. Well, ang sabi natin doon sa positive root ay principal square root of 9. Plus this one, negative 3. Pag sinabi ko sa inyo, what is the square root of 9? Positive, negative 3. Pwede na po, dalawa na ang sagot ninyo. What is the square root of 1.69? Positive, negative 1.3. Or you can say separately, positive 1.3 and negative 1.3. What is the square root of 1 over 100? Positive 1 over 10 and negative 1 over 10. And the positive square root again is considered the principal root. Naintindihan? Ulitin ko, kapag principal root lang po, positive lang po ang ibibigay ninyo. Pero kapag sinabi what is the square root, you have to give the positive and negative value. Naintindihan? Yeah.
Yes po.
Yes po.
So observe that the square root of the perfect squares are rational numbers. Rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed. That was the question, no, kanina. Again, what is rational number or rational number? No? What is rational number or what are rational numbers? Likewise, what are irrational numbers? So, nauna na po yung rational. So, we have here rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed as ratio or quotient of two integers where the denominator is not zero, is not equal to zero. Okay? Nasa formang A over B, where B is not equal to 0. Okay? Lahat ng numbers na pwedeng isulat ng fraction ay pwede natin tawaging rational numbers. Eh yung 3 po, pwede ba natin isulat ng fraction? Yes. That is 3 over 1. Yung 1 over 3, pwede ba natin isulat ng fraction? Yes. 1 and 3 over 10. Siyempre, 1 over 10 is already fraction. Okay po? So, rational po yung mga square root na ito. Yung principal roots of square root of principal roots of 9, 1.69, and 1, the square root of 1 over 100. Naintindihan? Okay, I'll give you an example of rational number. No? Wherein the denominator is not equal to 0. So, 5 over 0. The denominator is 0, so therefore 5 over 0 is not a rational. Naintindihan? But rather, our answer for that is undefined. Undefined. So when we say undefined, we cannot give our answer. Naintindihan?
Opo.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes po.
Another, 6 over 0, that is undefined. 100 over 0, 101 over 0, that is undefined. Pag binaliktad po natin 0 divided by 100 or 0 divided by any number is 0. So masasagutan po natin, masasagot or maibibigay po natin yung tamang sagot. Okay, so 1,000 divided by 0, no, that is undefined. 0 divided by 1,000, that is 0. Okay, so any number divided by 0 is undefined. So yun po yung iniiwasan natin sa rational. Yung 0 po yung denominator. Okay po? Now, practice. Give the principal root of each of the following. The answers, no, may sagot na tayo dito sa baba. So, the square root of 121 is 11. So, how come that the square root of 121 is 11? Because if you are going to multiply this 11, no, by itself, that is 121. Tama po. So let's say for instance, 11 times 11 is 120. The square root of 121 is 11. Yes, that is correct. How about this one? The square root of 2.25. The answer is 1.5. If you're going to multiply this 1.5 by itself, it gives you 2.25. Your answer is correct. Okay? And how about this number 3? Square root of 0.09. Okay? So this is typographical error. It should be 0.3. 0.3. That is the correct answer. Next, number 4. What is the square root of 9? It's 3. Tama?
Yes.
Opo.
Yes
What is
po.
the square root of 64?
8.
It's 8. So 3 eighths po ang sagot natin for that number 4. And number 5. The square root of 16 is
4.
4.
4.
Then the square root of 289 is 17. Is that correct?
Yes.
Opo.
Yes.
So the question here is, did you get all the answers correctly?
Opo.
Alright, so ipagpatuloy na rin. How about the square root of 5? Is there a number multiplied by itself 2 times gives you
20.
equal to 5? Is there a
No.
number multiplied by itself
No.
2 times equals
No.
5?
None.
None. Why? Because 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9. Gets? Wala po.
Yes.
So, simply because 5 is not a perfect square number. Ang tawag po natin doon ay not perfect square number. And the square root of non-perfect square numbers are irrational. Irrational po sila. Okay? So, next. Any number that cannot be expressed as a quotient of two integers is an irrational number. Lahat ng hindi pwedeng isulat ng fraction ay tinatawag nating irrational number or irrational numbers. Now, what is irrational numbers are expressed as non-repeating and non-terminating. Tandaan niyo po yung irrational number, hindi po siya nauulit or non-repeating. There is no digit or number repeated infinitely. Then, we call it non-terminating kasi nga wala siyang hangganan. So, meaning to say, infinite po yung number. Naintindihan? So, irrational numbers are expressed as non-repeating and non-terminating decimal or we call it infinite non-repeating decimal. So, sakto po. Yun po yung sinasabi natin, infinite non-repeating decimal. The numbers square root of 2, then we have pi, and the special number e are all irrational numbers. Okay? So, lahat po yun ay mga irrational numbers. Let us now proceed to lesson number 2. Now, complete this table. You may use your calculator. You can get your calculator if you have there. No? Kung wala po, you can use your Android cellphone. Di ba yung cellphone ninyo may calculator? You may use your calculator or your Android cellphone. It has a calculator to get the square root of non-perfect square number. Now, specify also whether the square root is rational or irrational. The table is divided into 6 columns. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first column, ito po in numbers 1 to 10. Ang continuation po niya nasa pang-apat na column, 11, 12, 13 hanggang 20. Naiintindihan ninyo yung table? So, pipilitin ko po ipaintindi sa inyo. Yung first column po, naka-number po ng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pang-apat na column, continuation ng 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 hanggang 20. Naintindihan?
Opo.
Yes.
Now, second column na tayo, square of the numbers. So, if we're going to square the first column, the first one is 1 squared. So, 1 times 1 is 1. Tama? Yes or no? If we're going to square the number 2, 2 squared, what would be the product? 2 times 2.
2 po.
No? 2 times 2? 4.
4.
Next, we're going to square the 3. What is the product?
9 po.
9 po.
9. Okay. Then 4 squared. What is the product? 16.
16.
Next, 5 squared.
25 po.
25.
Correct. 6 squared.
36.
36. 7 squared.
28.
Oh, no.
49.
49.
49. Next, 8 squared.
72. Ay,
64. Next, 9 squared.
81.
81 po.
81. Then 10.
100.
100. And that is correct. Let us now proceed to yan. Dito na tayo sa number 3. Column number 4. Okay, so 11, 12, 13 hanggang 20. Then column number 5, we have 11 squared. What is the product?
121.
121
So
po.
121. So 11 times 11 is 121. Next, 12 times 12.
144 po.
144. Next, 13 squared.
169 po.
169. Next, 14 squared. 196.
196.
Okay, kung hawak po ninyo ang inyong module o yung learning activity sheets ninyo, you can write the product. Pwede nyo pong isulat ang product. No? Para meron tayong guide. Next, 17 squared. 15 squared is 225, tama? Then we have 16. What is 16 squared?
256.
256. 17 squared.
289 po.
289. 18 squared.
324.
324.
324.
20 squared.
361.
361.
361.
And 20 squared.
400.
400.
Alright, so let us proceed, no? To the third column. Square root of the number in two decimal places. The numbers 1 and 2 are done for you. Okay? So, paano po nakuha yung square root of 1? Because 1 times 1 is still 1. And that 1 is what we call rational. When we say rational or rational, can be written into fraction, 1 over 1. Next, number 2. Number 2 is 1.14 blah blah blah. Meaning to say this is irrational. So how to get this value? How to get the value or how to get the square root of 2? By pressing your calculator if you have scientific calculator, or using your Android cell phone which it has a calculator. Just press it if you know. Pakihanap po ang inyong calculator sa Android cellphone. Meron ba?
Meron po.
Meron.
May nakita kayong radical sign or radical symbol?
Opo.
Ayan. Pindutin nyo po yung radical symbol na yon, tapos yung number 3. Automatic po lalabas ang sagot. Kahit hindi na kayo mag-equal.
Sa akin po wala.
Square root of 3, mag-equal po kung kinakailangan. Okay? Again, may mga calculator na nauuna yung square root symbol muna bago yung number. Square root, tapos press 3. Lalabas na kaagad yung 1.73205081. No? Depende po, no, sa digit na pwedeng ilabas ng inyong calculator. Can be 6 digits, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, no? And so on. So kapag masyadong marami ng digit, no, mahihirapan yung calculator natin. So depending on the fx of it. Naintindihan? So ang gagawin natin, puputulin natin sa hundreds place. So 1.14, kung ang kasunod ng 4 ay 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, i-round off nyo yung 4. Gawin yung 5. Naintindihan? Pero kung 1 lang siya, 0, 2, 3, 4, as is, 1.14. Naintindihan? Again, balik kayo sa calculator niyo. Press the square root symbol, tapos yung 3, tapos equal. Lalabas po dyan ay 1.73205081 and so on. Walang hangganang number po yan. Sadya lang may hangganan yan dahil doon sa calculator ninyo na hanggang 6 or hanggang 7 lang po yung kaya niyang ilabas na digit. Naintindihan? Naintindihan po?
Yes.
Yes
po.
po.
Yes po.
Tutulin nyo lang po ng hanggang 2. Sabi niya yan, no? So cut your answer or the digit into 2 decimal places. Cut your answer in 2 decimal places. So your answer for that square root of 3 is 1.73. Saka ninyo i-identify if it is rational or irrational. Now, what do you think the answer here? Is it rational or rational?
Rational.
Rational po.
Rational po.
Rational.
Irrational or rational?
Irrational po.
Irrational po.
Irrational. Okay, so
Rational po.
irrational po siya. With IR po, irrational. Next, square root of 4. What is the square root of 4?
Rational.
Ayan, the square root of 4 is? Ang sagot?
Rational.
2. Okay. Give the square root first, then after that, after giving the square root, that's the time you're going to identify if it is rational or irrational. Did you get my point?
Opo.
Yes po.
Yes. Okay, so we have the square root of 4. What is your answer? 2.
2.
2.
Is it rational or irrational?
Rational.
Rational.
Okay, next 5. Square root of 5.
2.23.
Okay, so 2.23. So square root of 5 is 2.24. So
2.20.
irrational or rational?
Irrational.
Irrational.
Yes, irrational. So next is square root of 6.
2.40.
2 and
2.44.
2.45.
2.45.
Okay, rational, irrational.
Irrational.
Irrational po.
Irrational.
Irrational.
Now, irrational. So square root of 7.
2.64.
2.65.
2.60.
2.65. Rational, irrational.
Irrational.
Rational.
Irrational.
Irrational po.
Next is square root of 8.
2.83.
2.83. Irrational, rational.
Irrational.
Irrational.
Irrational. Okay. Then next is 9. Square root of 9.
3.
3. Rational,
Three.
irrational.
Rational.
Rational. Okay, anong napansin ninyo? Mula square root of 1 hanggang square root of 3. Anong napansin ninyo? Mula square root of 1 hanggang square root of 4. Anong napansin ninyo?
Karamihan po irrational.
Yes, karamihan ay irrational. So, between square root of 1 and square root of 4, there are 2 square root na kung saan ay irrational. These are square root of 2 and square root of 3. Did you get? Ulitin ko. Sa pagitan ng square root of 1 at saka square root of 4, merong irrational dyan yung square root of 2 and square root of 3. Tama? Tama po?
Opo.
Ulit.
Opo.
Yan. Sige. Next, dito naman, sa square root of 4 hanggang sa square root of 9, may mga irrational dyan. Can you name the irrational numbers? Can you give the irrational numbers?
Five and 7.
5.
5. Square root of 5, square root of 6, square root of 7, square root of 8. Square root of 5, 6, 7, 8. Apat po, no? Apat po ang irrational between square root of 4 and square root of 9. Did you get?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Yes po.
Yes. Yes. So, ipagpatuloy natin, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Lahat yon ay irrational ulit. Ulitin natin. Mula 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 ay irrational ulit. So, use your calculator to get the square root of them. No, yung square root of it. I'm sorry. Okay po. Then, The square root of 16 is 4. Mula 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Irrational ulit. Yung 25, rational. So, ibig sabihin, nasa pagitan lagi. Naintindihan? Naintindihan? There are what? There are irrational between two perfect square numbers. Ibig sabihin, may mga irrational sa pagitan ng dalawang perfect square numbers. Naintindihan?
Opo.
Okay, so let us continue. So, hindi na natin i-square root pa yun, ano? So, alam natin na irrational po yung square root of 11, square root of 12, square root of 13, square root of 14, square root of 15, irrational po sila. Okay? Naintindihan? Now, letter B, give the principal root of the following. We have here number 1, the square root of 0.0036. Continue using your calculator. What is the answer?
0.06.
0.06. Tama?
Opo.
0.6. So we have here 36. Understood 6 na. Tapos we have 2 zeros. No? Magbigay lang kayo ng isang zero. So 0.06. Next, how about this? Square root of 441. 4.41. 2.1. Next, square root of 10.24.
3.2.
3.2. Next, square root of 3.24.
1.8.
1.8. Next, number 5, square root of 53.29.
7.3.
7
Okay, so 7.3, square root of 53.29 is 7.3. Without using the calculator, you know already, this for these numbers, 6 to 10. Yes. No? You can get the square root of it, of each numerator and denominator separately. So we have here square root of 16 if is 4, the square root of 25 is 5.
5.
So your answer is 4
4
over
over 5. Over 5.
4 over 5. Okay. How about number 7? Can you tell the square root?
1 over 9.
1 over 9. How about the principal root of number 8?
2
over
over
6.
2 over 6. 2 over 6. No? And that is 1/3. 2 over 6 can be reduced to 1/3.
Yes po.
Yes po.
How about this number 9?
7
49.
over
7 over
11.
7
11.
over 11. So that is your favorite spot. No? Anywhere else. 7/11. Next, square root of 64 over 169.
8 over
8
13.
over
8 over 13.
8
over
Okay,
8
so
over
madali lang
13.
ano? So remember principal root lang po yung ibinigay natin, no? Only the positive roots. Roots po ang tawag natin sa sagot. Naintindihan? Can be positive or negative. But when you say principal root, only the positive root, no? But when we say square root, dalawa na po. So the square root of 16, positive, negative 4. Square root of 25, positive, negative 5. Okay? Let us continue. For this lesson 6, we learned from lesson 1 that the square root of perfect square numbers are rational numbers, while the square root of non-perfect square numbers are irrational numbers. Let us know more about irrational numbers. So alamin po natin ang mas laliman pa natin ang ating kaalaman tungkol sa irrational. No? Alam ba ninyo na ang irrational numbers ay pwede rin pong kunin or pwede rin pong i-estimate. Okay? Sa pamamagitan ng dalawang perfect square numbers na nasa bakod or nasa pagitan nito. Okay? So how can the square root of non-perfect square numbers be obtained? See this illustration. The table divided into 3 columns. The first column, we have the square of the number. Second, we have perfect square numbers. Third, square root of the number. So n represent we numbers, no, to be squared. So n, then your n is 1. Then if you're going to square, that is 1. 2 squared, that is 4. 3 squared, that is 9. 4 squared, that is 16. 5 squared is 25. 6 squared is 36. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. Now, square root of the number, we have square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5, and so on. Hanggang square root of 9. Now, what do you think? Is it the square root of 20 be seen between the perfect square root or perfect square numbers 16 and 25? Is it correct that the square root of 20 can be seen between these two perfect square numbers, square root of 16 and square root of 25?
Yes.
Yes. What else aside from this 20? Are there other numbers aside from this 20? Meron pa ba? Meron
Wala
pa?
na po.
Meron
Wala na po.
pa. Meron pa. Square root of 17. Square root of 18, square root of 19, square root of 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Tama? Nasa pagitan po ng perfect square numbers na 16 and 25. Naintindihan? Naintindihan niyo ako?
Opo.
Yes.
Opo.
So, nasa pagitan ng square root of 16 and square root of 25 ay square root of 17, square root of 18, square root of 19, square root of 20, square root of 21, square root of 22, square root of 23, square root of 24. Lahat po ng mga iyon ay nasa pagitan ng dalawang perfect square numbers. Naintindihan? Naintindihan po? Yes. So, i-estimate po natin ngayon ang square root of 20. What is square root of 20? Then, yes. So, what is square root of 20 then? Yes, it is not in the table since there is no whole number n such that n squared is equal to 20. Is there any number that if you're going to multiply by itself, it gives you 20?
None.
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 Hindi katulad nung ito, 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. Wala po. Okay? So notice in the illustration above that the square root of 20 lies between square root of 16 and square root of 25. In symbol, you put or write the square root of 20 at the middle, then the greater symbol, no, that is greater symbol, no, using the square root of 20 is greater than 4, but less than the square root of 5, the square root of 25, which is 5. Ibig sabihin, the square root of 20 is between 4 and 5, no? These 4 and 5 are integers. These 4 and 5 are roots of 16 or principal roots of 16 and 25. Did you get?
Yes.
Yes. Again, ikukumpara po natin yung square root ng 20 The square root of 20 is greater than 4, but less than 5. Now, what do you think? What are the possible value of this square root of 20? Since greater po, we will consider it as 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, but not 5. Naintindihan? Naintindihan? Kasi mas mababa raw siya sa 5. I repeat, the square root of 20 is greater than 4 but less than 5. Now, you try to replace the square root of 20 by 4.1 or 4.5. Can we say that 4.5 is greater than 4? Can we say that the square root of 20 or 4.5 is greater than 4?
No. I.
Yes.
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 So sabi ko, if you try to replace this square root of 20 by 4.5, can we say that 4.5 is greater than 4?
Yes.
Is it correct that the square root, is it correct that 4.5 is greater than 4?
Yes po.
Yes.
Yes
Yes
po.
po.
But,
Yes.
but less than 5?
Yes po.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes po.
So 4.5 po yung pinalit natin dun. In-estimate po natin yung square root of 20 na 4.5. Okay? What if palitan ko ng 4.6? Is it still true statement? 4.6 is greater than 4 but less than 5?
Yes po.
Yes
Still
po.
true.
True
True
po.
statement pa rin po. 4.7 still true?
Still
Yes.
true rin po.
Yes.
Yes. Bakit po? Kasi naglalay po sa pagitan daw ng dalawang integers na 4 and 5 ang square root ng 20. Nasa pagitan daw po ng 4 and 5 ang square root ng 20 na irrational. Did you get it now? Did you
Yes.
understand?
Yes po.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so back to our example kanina. From the table above, between which two consecutive integers does square root of 50 lies? We can see that the square root of 50 is between square root of 49 and square root of 64. Is that correct? Dun sa ating wall clock kanina or clock. Therefore,
Yes po.
the square
Yes
root of
po.
50 is between 7 and 8. This 50 or the square root of 50 lies between 5 and 8. And this 7 and 8 uh, are consecutive integers. So when we say consecutive integers, magkasunod. Naintindihan? 7, 8. O, magkasunod, tama? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Opo.
Opo.
Okay. As an activity, please continue constructing the table until 20 squared. So, 20 squared nagawa, no? Sinabi ko sa inyo, ituloy-tuloy na lang natin. Then, do the following exercises. Practice activity number 3, between which, ito pa yung between which two consecutive integers does the following lies. Okay? So, 12. Square root of 12. Yan. Now, square root of 12. Ano yung perfect square bago mag-12?
2 po.
No?
And
What number is considered as a perfect square before square root of 12?
4. 9 po.
9. Square root of 9 po. Okay? after ng 9, anong susunod?
Ikaw lang nagtitipid.
Anong susunod na is perfect square after ng 9? Di ba sabi natin 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16. Ano ngayon ang susunod na perfect square number?
15 po.
15 or 16?
16 po.
16.
So that's why the two consecutive integers are 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
May sagot po tayo sa baba. Okay? Naintindihan?
Yes po.
Yan.
Yes po.
Yung perfect square root, yung perfect square number po, bago mag-square root of 12, ay square root of 9 muna. Pagkatapos noon, ang kasunod na perfect square number ay square root of 16 na po. Naintindihan? So that's why the square root of 9 is 3. Ito na po yun. The square root of 16 is 4. Next, number 2. Ano naman po ang perfect square na mauna bago nag-90?
8.
81.
81.
1.
Square root of 81. After ng 90 or after ng square root of 81, what is next? What's next?
100.
It's 100. Tama po. That is correct. So the answer is between what two integers now? That 90 lies
Between 9 and 10.
between 9 and 10. Next, number 3, square root of 165. What perfect square or what perfect square number, no, is found
144.
between these two, between this square root of 165? 100?
144.
144? Yes, that is correct. What's next after 144?
169.
169. Bakit may feedback po? Siguro dalawa ang nakabukas na cellphone ninyo. So 160, 169 and 144. Tama? So the square root of 169, the square root of 144 is 12. The square root of 169 is 13. Tama? So ito po yung paki isara muna yung yung nakabukas na isa. Hindi pwedeng nakabukas kasi yung sabay. Kailangan isa lang. Kung kinakailangan po, hinaan niyo po yung yung isa. O di kaya mas maganda patayin na lang. So, ang dalawang consecutive integers diyan ay 12 and 13. Next, number 4. Ano ang perfect square?
225.
228. 225. Pagkatapos ng 225, ano ang kasunod?
226.
256. Ano po?
226.
226.
256 po.
256. Is it correct? So
Opo.
the square root of 225 is 15. Then the square root of 256 is 16. Next, number 5. $300.
361.
361. So that is 19. The square root of 361 is 19. After ng 361, what's next? Na perfect. 400. Okay, so the square root of 361 is 19. The square root of 400 is 20. Next, number 6. Number 6 na. Number 6 na po.
841.
840.
41.
41. Then, after ng 841, what's next?
900.
900. So, the square root of 841 is 29. The square root of 900 is 300. 330 po. So what is your score? Sige nga, kung may, so, yan. Okay po, so, now, if you get 2 and below correctly, better go back to the table given above and observe the process. Okay po? Naiintindihan ba hindi?
Naiintindihan po.
Naintindihan po, sir.
Okay. So next we have simplifying. Another way, this is another way of what? Aside from what we did, no? So estimating the square root of these irrational numbers, we have another way of getting the not only the estimating, but rather we are going to simplify the rational numbers. So pagsisimplify din po. Another important way of manipulating irrational numbers is through simplification. Again, observe the following examples. Number 1, simplify square root of 8. We all know that this square root of 8 is irrational. Am I right? Tama po?
Yes.
Yes po.
So,
Yes.
remember that the square root of 8 is between 2 and 8. Between 2 and 3. Tama?
Opo.
Okay. So, express first the radicand. Ano ulit yung radicand? Yung number na nasa loob ng radical symbol. Tama?
Yes po.
Yan. So, express first the radicand 8 as product of its factors where one of the factors is a perfect square number. So, hanapin nyo po yung factors ng 8. So, factors of 8 are 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Then, we choose this 2 times 4. Bakit, sir? Hindi yung 1 times 8. Yung 1 is a perfect number. No? Pero, hindi po natin na-simplify yung 8 as is na 8. So, hindi po natin pipiliin yung 1 times 8. But rather, we choose this 2 times 4. Okay po? So, since 4 is a perfect square number, yan po, ilalagay natin dito ngayon. Ito po yung ating solution. Square root of 8 is equal to square root of 4 times 2. So, pwedeng paghiwalayin po yung square root of 4 at saka yung square root of 2. Individual radical symbol. Pwede po magkahiwalay. So, square root of 4 times square root of 2. And of course, the x as a multiplication symbol, you can use dot, no? So you can use dot instead of using x as the symbol of multiplication. Okay, so ito na po yung nakuha nating factors nung 8, 2 times 4. Then the square root of 4 is 2 times the square root of 2. Okay, so hence the square root of 8 is 2 square root of 2 and read as 2 times the square root of 2. Ang basa po natin dito, 2 times the square root of 2. Sir, nasaan na yung multiplication symbol dyan? Wala na po. Inomit na natin. Understood na po na kapag pinagtabi mo sila, yung 2 at saka yung square root of 2, understood na po na 2 times square root of 2 sila. Basta kapag pinagtatabi, multiplication po ang ibig niya sabihin. Okay? Naintindihan? Hello?
Opo. Opo. Yes po.
Ayan. Next, number 2 is square root of 48. What are the factors of 48? These are the factors. 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, 6 times 8. Now, ano ang pipiliin ninyo dyan? Yung 2,
3 times 16.
yung 24, hindi po perfect square yung 2, yung 24. Anong pipiliin natin?
3 times
3 times
3
16.
times 16. So, 3 times 16 po ang pipiliin natin kasi 16 po ay perfect square number. So, sabi niya doon, ang ruling dyan ay no, the factors of the given number, no, or one of the factors rather, must be what? Perfect square number. Okay po, perfect square factor po. Naintindihan? Ayan, isulat na natin. Square root of 48. Ito na yung solution is equal to square root of 16 times 3. Pag-iwalayin natin, pwede naman po square root of 16 times square root of 3. Now, the square root of 16 is 4. Then, copy the square root of 3. Our answer is 4 times square root of 3. Eh sir, what if ito po yung pinili ko, 4 times 12, since that 4 is also a perfect square factor. Okay, but this 12, yung kasama niyang factor na 12 ay composite po. Pwede pang biyakin, pwede pang kunin yung factors niya. Yes, no? Pwede naman po. Ito na po, yung nasa red na ano, nakasulat ng red pen. So square root of 4 times square root of 12. Nandiyan na po. Then we will get the principal root of square root of 4, that is 2 times. Tapos pinactor ko yung 12. Square root of 4 times square root of 3. Tama? Then, kinopya ko lang po yung 2 sa itaas times, kinopya ko ulit. Tapos yung principal root ng square root of 4, that is 2. What is the principal root of 4? Di ba 2? Tama?
Opo.
Opo.
Times. Kopyahin nyo lang yung times, no? Yung multiplication symbol nating dot. Then copy the square root of 3. Eh, paano na pong gagawin dyan? Since ang multiplication symbol po ang nandyan, so 2 times 2 po ang ibig niya sabihin. So 4. Tapos kopyahin natin yung, ano, yung radicand natin. So square root of 3. So your final answer is 4 square root of 3. No? Do not include the dot anymore. So 4 square root of 3. Di ba pareho sila?
Opo.
Okay. So ano pong advantage dyan? Ang advantage dyan kapag pinili niyo yung highest perfect square factor, ibibigay niya sa inyo kaagad yung
Tamang sagot po.
tamang sagot.
Mas
Kung
napapabilis.
hindi po, ayan, medyo maparaan ka lang. Okay? Magka-come up pa rin sa tamang sagot or the same answers. Okay po?
Okay po.
Okay po.
Opo.
Po.
Okay. So, yung number 3 na tayo. Square root of 15. So, what are the factors?
25 po.
25 times 2.
25.
So, since 25 is perfect square number, so square root of the principal root of 25 is 5, then square root of 2. Tapos na kayo. Is this clear now?
Yes.
Opo.
Opo.
So,
Opo.
take time to study about
Opo.
this square root, no? So, do not waste your time. Now, look at the example or next example. We have 4 square root of 30. What are the factors of 30? 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. You notice that 30 has no perfect square factor. Hence, square root of 30 cannot be simplified using this approach. Tama?
Yes.
Opo.
Tingnan ninyo. Sir, perfect naman yung 1 eh. Bakit? Nagalaw mo ba yung 30 as is pa rin naman, di ba? Then, next factor, 2 times 15. Meron bang perfect square number dun? Wala po.
Wala
3 times 10, wala ring perfect square number dun. 5 times 6, walang perfect square
Wala.
number. Okay?
Wala po.
Alright, so mag-practice pa tayo. Meron pa tayong answers dyan sa baba niya as our basis. Simplify. Number 1 is square root of 60. Between what two factors? Or what are the factors of this 60 wherein one of its factor is a perfect square number? Or perfect square factor?
2 times 30.
No. 2 times 30. Napakalaki nung 30. Kung 2 times 30 po, walang perfect square factor doon?
2
Yung 2 is
times
not a perfect.
15 po.
2 times 15, that is 30 only.
4 times 15.
That's it. 4 times 15. The 4 is perfect square factor. No? Perfect factor po yun. Perfect, 4 is a perfect factor. So, square root of, the principal root of that 4 is 2. Then copy, we have the square root of 15. Tapos na ang sagot natin. Then number 2, what are the factors? Wherein, one of the factors is perfect.
6 times 2 po.
6 times 2, that is incorrect. That is 12 only. 72 po yun. Paano niyong hatiin to?
36 times 2 po.
36 times 2. The square root of 36 is 6, then square root of 2. Tapos na. Next, number 3. I-practice more.
12.
No, meron
12.
pa.
Ay.
12 times 5. That is incorrect.
16 times 5.
20 times
16
4.
times 5. 16 times 5. The square root of 16 is 4, then the square root of 5. Next, 108.
36 times 3.
36 times 3. The square root of 36 is 6, then the square root of 3. That is correct. Next, number 5. Last 2.
16 times 7.
16 times 7. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 7. Next, number 6.
25 times 6.
25 times 6. The square root of 25 is 5. Then the square root of 6. Pwede nyo pong i-screenshot yan. Tapos, aralin nyo ulit later on. Okay? Naintindihan?
Yes po.
Opo.
Okay. So, this is your assignment. I-screenshot ko na lang. Pwede nyo rin
Dad.
naman i-screenshot. Naintindihan?
Yes po.
Okay. So, hanggang dyan lang po yung lesson natin. So, screenshot po ninyo ang inyong assignment. To be checked next week. Narinig?
Opo.
Opo.
Okay. So, i-end na natin po ang ating